And hello everybody, welcome back to another video. So today we'll be doing the header, nav and footer. Now if you haven't seen my previous video explaining about the page structure, please click on this pop-up box right at the right side of the screen. If you click on it, you can see the video and you can go watch that before you watch this one, just for some background, okay? Now first up is the header. By now you should know how to create a tag. If you don't, please go watch my HTML videos and then come back to watch the HTML5 videos later. Now you do know how to create a header tag because you do know how to create a tag. So you create your header tag. Now usually inside of a header tag you have your most important heading, which is your site heading, and you have the lesser important heading, which you don't always need, but you can also add. Now the less important heading is just a smaller heading, just like a subheading. And you know what, I'll show you guys how a heading looks. Now the header is often on top of the page, where it actually should be. It doesn't have to be, but it's good practice to put a header on the top. Now the header can contain more than just normal text like H1 to H6 and to P. It can contain things like images and music. It can contain anything you want. The header is just a div tag. A div tag is a container that can hold basically anything and just breaks your page up into a bunch of sections. The header is just another name for it that helps you know where what is when you want to know where it is, so it's easier to navigate from place to place. Basically, to imagine it, imagine you are a web developer reading someone else's code. What would you want to do? Would you want to be able to read it and know exactly what's going on, or would you just rather want it to be messy? You want to be able to read it, right? Because if you see a header, then voila, you know exactly where you are, what that part represents on the page. Now let me show you here how the header looks on my page. Now we'll just open our developer options. That will bring out the thing at the side. ctrl+shift+i, yes. And then we don't need a console, we need that part right there. Now as you can see inside the body, we have our header tag, which is the part right here. Yeah, you see. Then inside of the header tag we have the nav tag. Now I will explain a bit later about what the nav tag is. Now this part right here should have been the header, but I decided not to make it a header because I have the Netsuite blog image, which I think is actually kind of a better header for the page itself. So the latest blog verse is not actually inside of the header where it should technically be. Now the header doesn't do anything specific to your page, like give it a better look or anything like that. It's just to make the code look better, so when someone looks at the code without looking at the web page itself, they will be able to actually know exactly what's going on. Now let's quickly show you that the header is just basically something you put something else in, and you will understand why we use things like this more once we get deeper into HTML5. Now as you can see, everything looks exactly the same as what it would have looked if we did not use a header. Now you might think this is useless right now, but you will find out later why we would use this more often than not. So yeah, let's continue to the footer tag. Okay, wait, before we go on towards the footer, it's important to know that the header does not replace the head tag. These two are completely different things. If you're going to switch them, you might mess up your web page. Please do not switch these two around. The head should stay the head, the header should stay the header. The head should not be inside of the body, but on top of it. The header can be inside of the body. Now the footer is just as easy as the header. You just put the word inside these two tags. Now the footer usually comes at the bottom of your page. Like the header is on the top, the footer is on the bottom. Header is on the top of your body, your feet is at the bottom of your body. You get it? Now the following stuff can like go inside of the footer tag. It is your contact information, privacy policy, social media like links and icons, terms of service, copyright information, and like related websites. Now of course, same with the header, you can still put images, music, whatever you want inside a footer. It's also just a div tag with a different name. It is just generally used to like hold these things. Now my webpage doesn't have a footer yet, but I will give you an example of what will be here. For example, I will tell the person thank you for like visiting the page. You can find more of what you want on this page at my YouTube channel, and I'll just give them a link towards it. This is just a little something that you'll put in there. Usually you can put a little bit more inside your footer tag, just like take up a little bit of extra space, you know, and just make it look nice. As you can see, the footer tag doesn't actually do anything else either. It is just like the header tag. It is basically a div tag just with a different name. It doesn't make it look better, it doesn't give it any special actual meaning. It's just when you read the code you understand where you are and what you are busy reading. It just makes the whole process a lot easier. I should have done this actually before the footer, but anyways, next up is the nav tag. Now the nav tag is just basically where your navigation bar would be. It is basically where you throw all your links to other web pages and stuff like that. It usually holds like a ton of links, like for example your home, services, about us. When you go into like a Wikipedia page, for example, you would find this part at the side of the page, which you would have seen if you watched my earlier video, which I showed you. Basically you would find that little square at the side with all the links, and it takes you to the place on the page. That's a navigation bar, or a nav tag for short. Now this is usually just a block to contain a bunch of links, because if it's just one link you don't need a navigation or a nav tag at all. If it's a bunch of links like 5 or 6 or even 10, then a nav tag is just a useful way of telling the person reading this, hey, this is where all my tons of links are going to other pages and stuff like that. Now I'll give you a quick example of how it will basically look, with 3 things in it saying home, services, and about us. Not actually going anywhere, just showing you guys what it basically does. Now you don't have to style it like I do, I just think it looks nice adding an unordered list to it. As you can see, it basically looks like an actual place to navigate your page with. Now the nav tag is basically exactly the same as the footer and the header. It's just a div tag with a different name. You can put whatever you want in it once again, and it just makes it everything easier to read. Nothing really special about it. Now as you saw on my webpage, I had the nav tag inside of my header tag. Now you can do this, but basically any of your tags, usually people put like a div tag around everything and they just put everything inside the div tag. You can put the tags inside of each other just as much as you want, as much as you need it to be. It's not important to put them all outside of each other. You will get more used to this as you continue with the tutorial. In the next tutorial, we'll be covering the article, section, and aside tags. And thank you all for watching. See you all in the next video.